Good morning, crew. Raw vlog number 3. If you've been following the story, you know that recently I was really scared to hit 650B, and by talking with you about it and hearing what you had to say and then getting your encouragement and getting people's advice, it really helped me get over my mental block of 650B. And that brings me to that concept of it's all mental. Like, we often say that about mountain biking, hitting features or getting over something. It's all mental. So I wanted to unpack that a little bit. The phrase that I thought of that maybe gets a little bit deeper at that is you are how you see, or you are, I was going to say you are what you see, but it's more like you are how you see. So if I think about 650B, before I hit that jump, I was seeing that jump as this intimidating jump, and the story that was playing in my head was the story of Alan going over the lip of that jump, getting bucked, and then landing in a bunch of rocks and dying, hurting myself, whatever, not dying, but it's just like getting hurt. And that was a story in my head and the story that I was telling myself. So that's how I was seeing that jump. And then by talking about it and by hearing people's view on that jump and hearing people's experience, it started to transform my story. Now, this was a projected story because the real story, happened just recently. If you've seen that video, the real story is getting over the jump and then realizing how easy it is. But there's still the internal story, the story that I was telling myself. And then once that story began to transform, suddenly there was nothing to it. And in that moment, I was able to just line up and hit the jump. And I guess right now I'm just kind of unpacking that for myself. The story is, another way to think of it is that's your playbook. So I don't know anything about sports, but I know a little bit about training. And the stories you tell is your life training. The stories you tell yourself, that's your life training. So training is there so that when you're in the moment, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to figure it out. You have a framework within which you can operate. So if my story, if my framework, if my playbook was telling me that I'm gonna crash, I'm gonna go over the bars and separate my shoulder or something crazy like that when I go to hit 650B, I'm gonna respond in kind. I'm gonna avoid hitting the jump. But by transforming that story into the story of Alan successfully hits this jump and then is super stoked about it, when I'm in that moment, that's my framework, and so I will respond in kind. So that's, to me, what that really means, that it's all mental. And I don't know, it's actually starting to make me really rethink that phrase, because in that moment, I'm not really thinking, I'm just responding to the moment, and my response to the moment is coming out of that framework that I walked in with. So maybe it's all training, right? It's all your story. You are how you see. And of course, the story that you tell yourself really affects how you see yourself, and that all just kind of like becomes a cycle. And for me, the more broader aspect or the broader application of this thought process is just how I am in life in general, how I see myself. And it gets at, and I'm gonna try to put this in a way that doesn't sound condescending or offensive, but I see a lot of people, and I have to speak from my experience because I'm a male of a you know, getting up in years, and I see a lot of guys my age who have this story of themselves of being past your prime and in a place where like you've kind of settled into the story of the guy that's just never going to be good at anything, and then makes that your identity. And I feel like when we take on those stories, and often they're the stories that have been handed to us, it like deepens that reality for us and makes it harder for us to transform ourselves and harder for us to stay dynamic in our lives, to grow. So for me, that framework is not just about getting over a jump or overcoming those fears on the trail. It's about staying active and staying dynamic in our lives, and like deepening the quality of our lives. So yeah, when I see somebody kind of settle in and really just kind of take on the past my prime, I'm I'm just gonna be like a fat dude that like I'm just kind of okay at anything I do, it kind of makes me sad, because I feel like we all have the potential to be great at what we do, or at least to greaten ourselves, if that's even a term, to go from wherever we're at today and tomorrow be a little bit better, and tomorrow be a little bit better, and then after a year we've become a lot better. And that has to do with anything from like how you approach a trail, to your nutrition, to interacting with other human beings. For me personally, the whole YouTube channel thing started out about like videoing myself riding, and it was about me. And the paradox there is, at least for me, the YouTube channel being about me ended up making it about you, about the subscribers, because I'm putting myself out there, and by doing that, I'm having to reflect on myself and really think about who I am and what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna, like, full disclosure, I have been a somewhat judgy person in the past, and by making this YouTube channel and making myself more visible, it's really made me have to rethink a lot of that and realize that I have no place to be judgy about anybody, and has made me a lot more neutral about things and a lot more open to just other riders on the trail and other human beings in general. So yeah, I said I wasn't going to make these vlogs too long, but they're going to probably end up being 10 minutes on the regular. But I guess what I'm getting at is, the story of this channel started as, Alan just making videos of himself mountain biking, and it transformed into Alan being a resource to the community. And if I'm going to be a resource to the community, I have to really be conscious of not just how I present, but I mean, I'm no good at that. I'm no good at presenting something that I'm not, or trying to like put something out there that's not just who I am, because I'm a terrible liar, and I just kind of like show my cards to everybody. So I had to transform a little bit. I had to have a little bit of a better understanding of who I am and what I'm about, and by understanding that, it transformed that. So I guess I've said probably the same thing a bunch of times. So yeah, there's that. Raw vlog number 3. I hope that's helpful. Again, just want to back up and say thanks to everybody who gave me encouragement and gave me advice, either in the comments or in person. It's really affected a lot of how I see the trails, how I see stuff. There's that jump at the top of Miracle Mile, and I rode past it the last time I was up there, but looking at it, now that I've ridden 650B, I see that jump on Miracle Mile as different than I used to. So I think that's the next one on the list. So yeah, hope you dug it. If you dug it, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the comment button, let me know why. And if you want to see raw vlogs, hit the subscribe button. I'll have the raw vlog playlist, and then also there's riding videos and stuff like that. Hope you dug it.